Hi there, I'm Neil, the founder of Clientell AI. If you're in RevOps or SalesOps, you know the struggle. You have a million questions about your deals, your pipeline, and your revenue. But getting those answers from Salesforce feels like pulling out your own teeth. You would ask your analyst or your admin to create a report for you, and then you'll have to wait days to figure out even if it's correct. What if we could change this? What if you could talk to Salesforce in natural language, in plain English, just like a friend, and it would answer everything that you were ever looking for? Presenting the Clientell AI QnA agent that makes using Salesforce a breeze. So I'll just share my screen and we'll get right into it. Let's jump right into the Q&A agent. I've just logged in and now I can start asking questions about my Salesforce data. Imagine you're about to step into a revenue review meeting and you need quick, accurate insights. Let's start simple. I'm curious. Let me just put it here. As a company, how much revenue did we win last year? How much revenue did we win last year? And I'll just send it over. Every conversation that you have with the agent creates an individual chat for you to go back and reference. The Q&A agent is basically now analyzing your Salesforce data. While it thinks, I'll mention that typically to find last year's revenue, you'll need to build or request a custom report, schedule a meeting with your analyst, and wait days. But with our Q&A agent, I can just ask. And it's basically going through all the past deals that you've won, everything that you've closed, thinking out loud and analyzing them to give you the right answer. And there we have it. You have the exact figure that you won last year. But I think so that was just the starting. What if we could go a level deeper? Can it actually give me more insights on my revenue? I'll type, can you let me know this was across how many deals and what was the average deal value? Again, it's pulling data from Salesforce, so it'll take a moment. What it's doing in the background is it's doing a ton of calculations, running a ton of queries, and accumulating all of that data to give you the exact right answer from your Salesforce. And there we have it. We closed a total of 2,783 deals with 119 million in revenue. I think so that would qualify as a good year. And this was an insight that just came out in seconds. Let's dive a bit further. I could ask follow-up questions, such as in these deals, can you tell me by owner name who won how many deals and their total amount? So what we've tried to build here is how you would actually talk to, say, your admin. But instead of a long turnaround time, how could you do it a lot faster? Because whenever you ask your admin to create a report, to create a dashboard, you aren't really looking for a report there. You're looking for an answer to one of your questions. And more importantly, every question that you ask your admin or every request that you raise actually comes up with a ton of follow-up questions. And more often than not, you get tired. You get tired of raising these requests and continuously waiting to get these answers, and you'll leave it halfway. With Clientell AI, that really isn't the problem because you can deep dive as much as you want into each one of your questions, get all your curiosity answered. And like we can see on the screen, it has successfully categorized all of the deals that we won by the owners and told me exactly who won how much, and this was across how many deals. But can you actually, instead of just giving me answers, can this actually work on a greater level? What Clientell AI also does is it allows you to create graphs and pie charts, etc. on the go. And you'd never really have to use a dashboard again. So I'll just say, can you give me the same in a graph? As you can see, within a couple of seconds, it gives you answers to all your questions. And the entire premise of having to build dashboards, which, to be very honest, your hardworking admins and your analysts would build over multiple days. But essentially, not a lot of people will use them. My Salesforce has traditionally been cluttered with a lot of dashboards and nobody using them because, to be very honest, they don't seem relevant after a certain point of time. Well, this takes out that entire pain and gives you answers within a couple of seconds so that you don't have to go back hunting into each individual dashboard, into each individual report, and the kind of data they contained. And as we can see, it basically tells you exactly what the graph stands for, how it's labeled, what is the legend there, and it will actually give you all the values in a descriptive format as well. But I think so that is just scratching the surface of what this particular tool can do. What if instead of just looking at our team's performance and building dashboards, we could go beyond these tasks? What if the Q&A agent could, instead of just answering questions, be allowed to actually take admin actions to keep your Salesforce clean and up to date? Let's see how that works. Now I'll ask it a few admin questions and see what kind of actions I can take over there. So can you tell me how many validation rules are there in my Salesforce that affect opportunities? A lot of times when you have data and accuracy issues in your Salesforce, it would also be happening because either you have a ton of validation rules that keep making it harder for your people to fill Salesforce, or you actually don't have any of them. So instead of just having access to the Salesforce data, it also has access to your Salesforce admin data in terms of how many validation rules are there, how many flows are there, what kind of effect these validation rules have. And it actually can tell you, of course, in broad numbers like we see on the screen, how many validation rules you have. But an even interesting bit is it can actually tell you what they do. So even if there are no messages, there are no descriptions, and there is no proper documentation of your Salesforce instance, it can basically analyze everything and tell you in an easy descriptive format of what each of these 151 validation rules do. So we'll take a look at that itself. So I'll just ask it, can you tell me how many of these are active and list the active ones along with an explanation of what they do. So it's one thing to fetch your data, but it's an entirely different thing to actually get context of, say, a kind of code that has been written within the validation rule, to analyze all of them at scale, to actually see which particular fields, which particular objects do these affect, and to give you in a summarized fashion wherein instead of hunting through lines of code to understand which particular validation rule stops this action or which is that one validation rule that is actually affecting my flow, it can talk to you in natural language of what exactly these validation rules do. And even before I could complete my sentence, we have the result. All of the validation rules along with exactly what they do and a link to them as well. So you could just click any one of these links and it will directly take you to Salesforce to that particular validation rule. But you could go a step further, right? Instead of clicking individual validation. Oh, I think so my Salesforce instance has a lot of these validation rules. Perfect. Now that it has loaded up all of these validation rules, it also tells me what the name is, exactly what they are doing in terms of code. So a lot of times, even if the description is missing, you know which rule is affecting which particular field. But while all of that is good, what would your next step be if you realize that there's a particular validation rule blocking you? Or say for this one, this particular validation rule says that op amount not less than 100 ensures that opportunity amount is not less than 100. What if you realize that this isn't exactly the rule that you wanted? You usually don't want amounts that are actually less than 1000, and you'd want to change this. The traditional way of doing this would be to go into Salesforce, to go into the object manager, go to validation rules, look for this particular validation rule, update the rule, see if it's working or not, verify if it actually performs the action that you want it to perform, write the error messages, and then you'd probably want to test it out. What if I could save you all of that hassle? What if I could just tell my agent that let's edit the opportunity amount min 100 validation rule and increase the value to 1000. Accordingly, change the name and message. So basically what I'm telling it to do is to take that particular validation rule and increase the value that it has to 1000. And of course, the agent has been fully built in terms to understand what you're saying in plain old English language. You don't really need to specify that it needs to increase the amount value from 100 to 1000. Just saying to increase the value would actually give it enough context to do the same. And I'll enter it. Now think how powerful this becomes. Instead of actually hunting through a ton of flows, a ton of validation rules, and a ton of different implementations. I mean, for all you know, your permission sets could be messed up. For all you know, the user accesses could be messed up. Here is an agent that talks to you, that works out with you, that helps you in natural language. And it also tells you what exactly it's going to do. So like you can see on the screen, it has successfully updated the opportunity amount min to 1000. And this particular rule now ensures that the opportunity and amount cannot be less than 1000 USD. And of course, it's helpful and sends you a smiley as well. So let's just take a moment to think about this. Something that would have taken 12 to 15 hours of back and forth with your admin or analyst just got reduced to a few minutes. This is just the tip of the iceberg. The Q&A agent can improve your data quality, run complex calculations you can't do with standard reports, and so much more. I can't wait to see how you use the Clientell AI Q&A agent to transform your Salesforce workflow. Ready to try it out yourself? I think so it's time you sign up now. Thank you.